Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Series 10, movie reviews. We've had a milestone, people. This is what I've been looking forward to. Discussing the worst and the best movies that I consider the best of the worst, really, to be honest, in my opinion. We have reached this moment. I mean, I've done movie reviews for 2 years. It's taken this quite a while to get here. So we reached a milestone, so that's pretty interesting. So I have 13 movies that are the worst, in my opinion, that I consider the worst, really. So, without further ado, let's go for this. One thing to know about this is this list was quite difficult to make, really. Unlike the best movies, in my opinion, that was more easy, actually. You know, what films I can really cover, and fair enough. But with the worst movies, it was quite difficult. Like, what movies do I hate? What movies do I dislike? And so, I have them on here. A little list on here. This is an iPhone 8, which I've got recently, maybe a week ago, actually. And it is great. I'm adapting to the 21st century perfectly. And let's continue. Let's do this. So, at number 13 is The Master of Disguise. So, oh yes, this is one of the worst movies of all time. It's people regard it as one of the worst of all time. It's from 2002. It's got Dana Carvey in as a character called Pistachio Disguisey, which is a shit name. There is the obvious moments, of course, in Miss Al Pacino saying, "Say hello to my little friend," while talking to a tiki statue while trying to get into the villain's hideout. Or something like that, or a party. I don't really know, but it's not one of the best ones, of course. I mean, you have the Turtle Club, and that sort of thing. I mean, that's a really weird impression, but it's close enough. There's some weird, goofy moments of him dancing and like being cross-eyed and everything. That's really cringe-worthy, of course. I mean, Dana Carvey, great performer. Saturday Night Live, he was in the Wednesday movies playing golf. Also, The Road to Wellville, which is actually a very interesting performance by him. You know, he's done a few interesting movies in his time, really, and for some strange reason, he tried to make his own pet project, and he failed miserably, unfortunately. Yes, I mean, this is like a similar thing to with Pat. Who remembers Pat? I might need to watch that someday and cover it on movie reviews. Right. So, Master of Disguise. People have reviewed this and teared it to shreds, so I don't really have to go into heavy detail with it at all. So I would say it's quite bad. I've seen it. It's bad as you think. End of case. End of story for that one. Number 12, Against the Dark. Now, this is the second Steven Seagal movie I've covered. No, I don't. No, actually, no, the third one, because I remember I did Exit Wounds first, and then I did Under Siege. This is the third one. So, at this point in Seagal's career, this is where he was mainly doing direct-to-video or direct-to-DVD films. This one interests me because it's like a action horror. It features vampires. Steven Seagal wears a samurai sword, and it's a bit claustrophobic because it's set in a hospital, and you think, yay, that's my type of movie. And you watch it, you think, really? I had debated to put this on or maybe cover it at some point, but I think, judging my disappointment of what it was like very much, and it's like, well, you have vampires preying on survivors in a hospital, yes. It does have that sort of like Day of the Dead remake-esque thing about it. But Seagal is only in it for 10 minutes maximum, roughly, because he appears at the beginning, somewhere between in the bits, and comes to the climax, and that's really about it. He comes in with a group of people, they fight a few vampires, he swings his sword around, and that's it, and he walks off in the sunset. That's really about it, really. And you think, what wasted potential? What fucking wasted potential? And that's what I felt. That's what I felt about that movie. I mean, it come from that fight club collection, DVD collection thing. You know, you have people like Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme doing some very interesting movies at that point. I mean, In Hell is actually quite good. I don't know about Lundgren's movies, but I mean, it's all gone quality down again with both of them. I think all three actually. I mean, you know, and Seagal's movies are just not the best as they used to be. I mean, you have the stuff from the late 80s and 90s, which I've got a big box set for. I think it's from 88 to 2001. That's considered like a interesting golden era for him. I mean, a few rubbish ones like On Deadly Ground. I mean, people slag off Under Siege 2, but I don't mind that movie actually. It's not a bad sequel, even though it's not sailing on a battleship, it's on a train. Fair enough. But when it gets dark, it's just the potential. Like, you've seen the cover, you bought it from Asda or somewhere, and you think that looks interesting. Steven Seagal against vampires, hell yes. You plug it in, you watch the whole through. Afterwards, you think, yes, that was a thing, wasn't it? That was shit. Absolute fucking shit. Yes. Alright. That's Against the Dark. That's number 12. Interesting choice to point the list. So there are a few interesting choices. Maybe one or two obvious films. Like, I mean, Master of Disguise, obvious one. Number 11. This came out last year. Peter Rabbit. I have disdain with this movie. I have issues with this one. I can understand people trying to replicate what they did with Paddington, the two Paddington movies, of course, but because it's done by Sony, but also they're trying to appeal to an American audience, it falls flat on its shitting little face. I'm sorry, for people who maybe enjoy that and think, you know, for the American audience, you know, they probably enjoy it and think, what a good movie, and it's got James Corden in it. I think for the British, it's like a stab in the back. It's like a fucking stab in the back. Let's go. James Corden. I mean, the voice of Peter Rabbit, I think, is... To be honest, I can't stand James Corden. I think a lot of people can't. I mean, in a way, he sort of betrayed his country in some places. I know that seems like a very sort of dumb line or sentence to say, but it can be true because he's adapted the American lifestyle. Now, he's big in the States, and he doesn't really set foot on UK soil anymore, or British soil. I mean, he's appeared in a few, you know, anime movies that don't really are nonsensical and just flat out crap. Trolls is one. Yes, and also he appeared in a few others. I think there's like a few ones that come out just early in spring, I think. But his role as Peter Rabbit, they should have gone with like a younger actor, and like a very young, I don't know, maybe someone in their pre-teens that might have worked really, I don't know. But with him as the voice, it just doesn't work. It doesn't suit it well. The characterization is just like it's like sort of teenage angst. It's like over the top teenage angst. Whereas in the books by Beatrix Potter and the television series that came in the 1990s, you do see that there's like this child's instance that Peter Rabbit had. That's not in the movie. There's no twinkle in the eye in this. There is in a few of the movies, you know, Paddington, that has it. You know, that has that sort of sophistication and depth that it goes into. Peter Rabbit doesn't. To be honest, it feels like maybe like two neighbours battling out really. Or, I don't know, you know, try and take the land. You know, I just don't know, like a take a land story, I don't know. I really can't decide what the movie is meant to be. I mean, just try and take over a garden, vegetable patch, flower patch, of course, new neighbour, stuck up English twat, and it just doesn't go anywhere. My dad has seen the film as well. I remember, so he's sort of maybe on release because he's from Windermere. He knows about Beatrix Potter. He knows about its legacy and stuff like that because he's from Windermere, of course. The only thing he was nitpicking about was the locations, like of how they filmed it. And you think, that's wrong, that's wrong. That bridge hasn't got a barrier on. I don't think. I never seen that bit anyway. Like here and there, here and there. I think it's like that hill. Was it? I don't think that's meant to be like that or something like that. He was basically complaining about the location work on it. Very much like it was very inaccurate. Let's just say. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's aimed for the American audiences, not for the British. I mean, you take British property, but you aim it for the American audience. It doesn't work It doesn't work that way. Make it for the British and alienate the United States. Alienate the well. Let me rephrase that. Make it for the British. Make it how the British want it. Send it to the States. Alienate them. Make it. Make them get confused. Make them get baffled of what we do, what our culture is, than theirs. That's better. That'll work. Give a middle finger. Literally give a middle finger to the States. And see how they react to it. That'll be interesting. So, that is number 11. So number 10, this came out last year as well. Bit of an obvious one. I think people will be surprised this, but I think some people, maybe bits and pieces of course, may be surprised with it. This might be on it. Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, I did consider putting Sid and Nancy on this list as well, mainly due to the continuity thing, really, with Sid and Nancy, of course. I mean, obviously, Sid, in this history of the Sex Pistols, he played on the Jubilee, on the boat during the Silver Jubilee in '77, whereas in the film he doesn't. And Glenn Mount looks there for some apparent reason, and he's busy making out with Nancy, Chloe Webb, pretty much. But I can give credit to Alex Cox for director. I mean, Alex Cox is a very interesting director. He's done a few bits of interesting movies and also presented movie drills. So I have to give him give this thing a pass, really, instead of putting on the list. One thing I can really say about Bohemian Rhapsody, there's a couple of things wrong with it. I mean, the continuity, yes, that's obvious, and I think it's more grating than Rocket Man, I think, because Rocket Man sort of does it interestingly. I mean, Dexter Fletcher and his crew sort of did something different with that, and actually think, that actually might work, that actually works. Whereas with Bohemian Rhapsody, it just doesn't. I mean, because I'm an avid Queen fan, I know the history of Queen, so I know a lot of people will probably know the history of Queen, of course, and they think, that's wrong. That shouldn't be there. They're playing Fat Bomb Girls even though it's 1974. What the hell, man? I do think Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury is good. I mean, he looks the part. I mean, the original idea was to have Sacha Baron Cohen as Freddie Mercury, believe it or not. I know Brian May, Roger Taylor, and also Robert De Niro for some reason actually were producers. I don't know if De Niro actually still produced the thing. I don't know. But I know May and Taylor were still involved with the film. I think the main thing with the movie, of course, is Bryan Singer. Obviously, when during this whole production of the movie, and also before the release of the movie, there was also the sexual allegations, all that sort of thing. Along with Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, all that sort of stuff. The whole the hashtag Me Too thing, and it really dampened on the movie. People are still skeptical if it gets an award. Very much, you think, that guy he's for sexual allegations, stuff like that. He's involved with what's been going on, again, with other people in Hollywood. And yet he still gets an award for this movie that he directed. I'm still mixed. I mean, a lot of people were. Some people were quite think, yeah, okay. Like, yay! Man, let's get an award! For some reason, I sound like Duggo. Then, I've released my inner Duggo. I'm still keeping that on camera. I'm keeping the edit on that one, so that'll be funny. Yeah, I think for the problem with Singer's involvement, that really dampens the movie. I mean, people might still like the movie. I mean, one of my mate Marno, we had a good conversation at the pub about, and he said to me, so what do you think about Bohemian Rhapsody? I thought, well, different things, really. I mean, continuity-wise, it's just like, and also Bryan Singer, you think, obviously he'll mention the thing, yeah, oh yes, really. But I still consider it's a right film. I mean, people consider it's a good film. I think visually it's interesting. I do have to admit, you know, they do some interesting things. But I think the continuity, one thing that grates me about Bohemian Rhapsody is the end bit, of course, with the rehearsal of Live Aid, and that says he has AIDS, but it's like a grandiose thing. Like he says this, like he stares up, like it's Shakespeare. He says, "I have AIDS." That is the worst moment in the movie for me. Really is. I can't stand that scene. Also, it's 1985. I mean, E. Dean got diagnosed with AIDS until 1987, I believe. Yeah. So, yeah, that's go. I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna stop doing that now. I'm gonna really. Let's go to another movie. So, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody. That's number 10. Number 9. Bit of an interesting pick. This is from bits of childhood. There are movies from childhood that I do remember, and actually from the VHS days, of course, that are actually on here. First up we got is Hollow Man. This is from 2000, directed by Paul Verhoeven. This is his last American sort of produced, well, movie in Hollywood, really, to be honest. And after that, he went back to Holland and did his own, you know, Dutch films, really. You know, they might find success in his home country, so that's good on him. At least he's still working. Hollow Man. Ooh, where should we go with this one? Let's just go how I found about the movie. I mean, I had the VHS, of course, but I never seen the film. I looked at the cover. I think like it was like a whitish. It's like the Ghost fit, like the front cover of the DVD of VHS of Ghost, something like that, really, in my opinion. When you look at the back, you see a man's inside screaming like in agony. You have scientists experimenting on a skeleton for some reason, and it's pretty what? And I thought I might want to watch that, but I never did actually. I never got bothered to watch it as a young kid. I mean, there's some different things about that. So I never saw Hollow Man until maybe a few years ago, actually, I think, and people have been very negative on it as well. So. Where should we go? Where should we go for else with this one? So, Kevin Bacon's in it, Elizabeth Shue is in it. You know, basically what it sort of starts as is, you know, a different take on the Invisible Man, the H.G. Wells Invisible Man. Try and take it to a bit of a modern era, you know, and use like a serum or something like that, and to make yourself invisible. And the guy that choose is basically, you know, someone who's a bit naive, but also a bit of a narcissist, and also is a bit sort of creepy as well amongst the ladies. And you and you get his weird motives of actually, you know, he's invisible. He can do what he likes. He can go and break into women's houses and just go and rape the living shit out of them. I don't know. You know, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but that's one of his sort of main intentions, really, just to get with this sort of lady scientist that he craves very much. And the second half plays like Alien, Ridley Scott's Alien. You know, trapped in this sort of scientific basement. Of course, everything's going to run amok. You know, and of course, and it's basically two movies in one, really, for this bit. And God. So, I mean, the CGI in it's pretty bad. I mean, considering from 2000, it doesn't hold up very well, of course. I mean, also some reason why the original DVDs actually say it's compatible with PlayStation 2. I mean, you can play any friggin' DVD on a PlayStation 2 or any game console for that matter. If you don't have a DVD player in your TV, you can just hook it to a game console. Okay, so let's get that. That's a little thing out of the way. So, Hollow Man, probably not the best. I mean, I would say Hollow Man's worse than Showgirls. That is quite shocking for people. I mean, people consider Showgirls as the worst. You know, but there is something about that movie. I need to do a review. I'll do a review at some point. Maybe in the next few seasons. I'll probably spread a little bit of light on that. But I find Hollow Man find his very weakest efforts. I mean, Verhoeven's done great movies. You know, if you look at his catalogue, I mean, short catalogue of what movies he's done. Starship Troopers springs to mind, which I've reviewed, which is brilliant. I do like that story. Total Recall, that is great as well. You know, Basic Instinct, that's actually quite good as well. You know, he has some very good strong hits in there. I think this is the dud that I say is that it's, you know, that's basically, you know, severed his legacy slightly. you know, I mean, people consider Showgirls that severed his legacy, but who knows? But I consider Hollow Man the worst, really, in his catalogue. Right. So that's number... Let me look at the list again. Number 9. So number 9. Number 8. So this is a double. 2 films. Basically, 2 sequels that are considerably different from what the original one was meant to be, either in sort of style and tone. Mainly just do different things, really. So first up we've got is Son of the Mask, and the other one is The Expendables 3. So we'll go for Son of the Mask first. Son of the Mask. I got this on day release on VHS from Asda years back in the day. I think it's about 2005 that came out. And it's a sequel to The Mask from 1994. So, a bit odd. Like it's an 11-year gap. Bit of 11-year gap between them 2 movies, and suddenly this film pops out. I remember seeing adverts about it, like, you know, like a weird CGI green dog head trying to kill a baby, or trying to get rid of it. I think, that's interesting. And you kind of think, I should really get that. How you think? You look at the front cover. It's quite bizarre. You have Alan Cumming, of course, as Loki. Some weird car thing with a engine with a mouth, like some fanged mouth, and you think, well, it's gonna be an interesting movie. When you watch it, it's truly bizarre, horrific, and all over the place. I mean, tonally, The Mask is tame. Very much. It's quite tame when you watch it. I mean, it's goofy as hell in many places and weird, but the humour of Jim Carrey souls it. You get some guy like Jamie Kennedy. Is it Jamie Kennedy? I think it is Jamie Kennedy, actually. I'm just trying to rephrase it. And he's basically he's, again, a bit like Stanley Ipkiss, but useless, but way downgraded, really. I mean, the thing focus really focuses on the baby, very much near Alfie. Yeah. You know, who actually has developed powers from the mask, because apparently, when, you know, that the animator, of course, dons the mask for a Halloween party. He comes back and obviously woos his wife and actually has sex with her, very much. And lo and behold, they produce this baby that's sort of, it has elements of The Exorcist. It's weird animated, so it's it probably freaked a lot of kids out at that time. I really can't remember much about it. I mean, I did watch it, but I think, I mean, my brain's sterilized as hell. You know, consider of like scary things like that. If you show it to a child, you think, you know, jump on your skin, stuff like that, really. And yeah, I know people have teared this one to shreds as well. Alan Cumming, though, as Loki, quite an interesting performance to do from it with him. You know, I think he's the main highlight of Son of the Mask. I mean, Alan Cumming, great actor, fantastic actor. You know, him as, you know, Boris King James, was it King James the First, is it? In The Witchfinders. It was also, what was he in? That brief appearance in Spice World as well. I need to look back at his filmography very much, but it's a bit of a highlight. I mean, his design-wise, it's just like, it's a bit weird. Spike Loki, of course. I think, who else is in it? Is it Bo Hopkins as Odin as well? Anything? And the CGI trickery is a bit weird. It's very strange and weird, you know, and it hasn't dated that much but you get weird scare factors out of it as well. But tonally, it's not to what we expected, and it's not that good either. You know, main leads wise, it's just like, you know, it falls flat. You have some weird, you know, you have like weird imagery, trippy imagery. Of course, that's basically dangling keys in front of a child, and you think, ooh, it's like a moth to light. A moth to a light. I don't know. Moving on to there, we've got the Expendables 3. So, like I mentioned before, these two are linked because the sequels, but they are like differences, of course. And, you know, Expendables 3, the first two Expendables are fantastic, are great actually. I mean, the first one's good. I mean, you have some dictator and Eric Roberts as the main villains in the first one, and then the second one you have Jean-Claude Van Damme, who is actually pretty interesting. And he kills Liam Hemsworth, apparently one of Miley Cyrus's ex-boyfriends, and the brother to Chris Hemsworth as well. So fair enough. You know, that's a brilliant way to start. And she stabs in the heart, kicks the knife into his heart. Interesting. When you come to Expendables 3, though, it loses the edge. Now, unlike some of the Mask, I mean, they're both the Mask and some of the Mask are both very PG, and they have like, you know, weird stuff going on with them. The Expendables 3. So the first two are rated 15 or rated R or some, you know, rated R very much. When the third one, it's rated 12 and it's PG-13. So it's really aiming for the crowd, really, like they used to back in the 90s, very much. One example I can think of is Robocop 3. Robocop 3, who remembers that film? You know, that's trying to aim for a younger audience. Expendables 3 is basically the same. It's basically the same, really. You have the old guard, of course, you know, Stallone, Statham, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, Terry Crews, Mickey Rourke, you know, all them. And then they get sidelined, and Stallone decides to form a new group of youngsters, which don't really work well. One thing I could say is Antonio Banderas doesn't do much. He's more there for comedy. I would have preferred him be more serious, really. I mean, like, if they do it for upon R rating on it, and, you know, 50 classified as 15, they could have, you know, if it was still in the same camp as the first two movies, that wouldn't be a problem, you know. I mean, I've seen Antonio Banderas actually do a lot of interesting serious action, and he's good. In this one, he doesn't. He's more like for comic relief. It just doesn't work. I'm sorry. And also, Mel Gibson as a villain. Again, like with Jean-Claude Van Damme, there's some potential there, but I think you need something a bit more death-defying, more action-packed than that. I mean, it really tries to, but you need something more harder. You need the harder stuff, like what the first two had, you know. But that's my complaint really with that film, really, and I was disappointed with it, of course. I don't know when the fourth one's coming out. I mean, there was the interesting rumors, of course, Pierce Brosnan's in it as well, and Stallone said, you know, commented that they're going back to an R rating, you know, for more, you know, for the graphic violence, of course, you know, for the more violent tones that the first two had, which I'm quite pleased, but we don't know when it's going to happen, though. They're still in limbo with that one. But if they do a fourth one, actually return, you know, back old school, that'd be interesting. So that is number 8. So The Mask and the Expendables 3. Number 7, A Good Day to Die Hard. Right, where do we go with this one? Where do we go with this one? I'm sure, you know, and people might think, why is this ahead of Expendables? Expendables and that sort of thing. I think the problem with A Good Day to Die Hard is the weakest out of the franchise very much. You know, the 5th one. At this point, if anyone hasn't read, this came in 2013, and at this point, Bruce Willis is an arrogant bastard. He definitely is an arrogant bastard, an arrogant actor who's only there just for a paycheck and just phones in a very just dull performance. The previous film that came out, you know, 6 years ago. I'm talking in the context of 2013 here. Live Free or Die Hard, or Die Hard 4.0. Top form he was. He was brilliant in that. You know, in that one. You know, he still had his wit and energy in that movie, and he really actually pulled it off. This one, you get that. I mean, you had the film Cop Out, which of course he pulls in a great performance. I mean, the Kevin Smith review, of course. I mean, Kevin Smith's great. He's done a few interesting movies over his time. But I think Cop Out, I can definitely understand his production issues with Bruce Willis, of course. You know, and you know, he thought, you know, he's one of his idols, like a good actor he wanted to work with. Turns out he's basically just an arrogant bastard who basically just just does what he like and all that sort of thing, pretty much. He thinks he's God's gift. No, he fucking ain't. So I think with him, but also you got Jai Courtney as well in this movie as well. Jai Courtney appeared in Terminator Genesis. In fairness, I've never seen Terminator Genesis. I've only seen the first 4 movies, of course, up to Salvation included. I've never seen Salvation. Also, Dark Fate. I'm not too sure about that. Has anyone noticed that? Terminator 6, Dark Fate, Return of Linda Hamilton. Also, apparently, I could really, maybe not. I'm not going to go there. I mean, Linda Hamilton's back in that film. Interesting. It's another, it's a new trilogy. the film will underperform. It won't do that. Bro, they promised this, new light. James Cameron's back. Is it Tim Miller? Yeah, that Tim Miller from Deadpool. He's directing as well. It's going to be great. No. With potential like that, what might happen? I don't know. It's treading old ground before. Doesn't do well. I think with this one, I mean, the only interesting thing about A Good Day to Die Hard is actually it's set in Russia. A very interesting location. I think, because all the rest have been set in different places, of course. Los Angeles for the first one. I think New York, Los Angeles again, I think in Die Hard 2. Die Hard 3, or Die Hard Revenge, it's New York. Die Hard 4.0, Live Free Die Hard, that's in somewhere else. Washington DC, it's mainly set in actually. So, there are different good states in there. It seems interesting you just dump Bruce Willis in Russia, plus Jerry Courtney as well, so I don't really know what's going on with that. Also, I just don't think Jerry Courtney's that good of an actor, really. Like I mentioned before, Terminator Genesis. That's Kyle Reese. Anton Yelchin was actually a good Kyle Reese. Yes. I mean, as a young Kyle Reese, yes, and he has the sort of energy he did. Sadly, he tragically passed away. By accident, really. But I just don't know. Jerry Courtney, I mean, I just don't know with that, really. And it just feels just borderline dull. Yes. Alright, so I can't really say much about Good Day to Die Hard. I mean, people on the internet have actually just severed this to shreds, They ripped it to shreds and let the dogs eat it for a bit and let them vomit out on the sidewalk. That's really about it, really, that one. And that is number 7. Number 6. Right. White Chicks. Yeah, I hate it. I really do. It's awful. I mean, the Wayans brothers, they did Scary Movie, which is brilliant. I mean, the sequel itself is good. I do think from the third one, I don't know, really. I mean, the fifth one's just shit as hell. I mean, they did some parody, 50 Shades of Black. Yeah, ugh. Really, jokes about your vagina smells. How many times? It's just like, oh god. And whip her harder. Like, instead of using, whipping her's not good. Throw a chair and break her back. I don't know. Yeah, White Chicks. I just really, it's basically like an undercover film, very much. These two agents disguise themselves as two white British students, or co-eds, very much, and you watch it and it's horrible. I mean, look at them. It's like horrible plastic surgery. It's just, it's very reminiscent of Michael Jackson, I would say. And it's like you think, it's like, did Michael Jackson direct that movie? You think, that sort of thing. It's just like it does have that fake white person element to it. It's just awful. It's cringe-worthy. It's horrible to look at. I mean, the jokes don't sit well. Like, I think, what do you call it? She's the Man, that football movie. That does it better, of course, demonstrating different people from different opposite sex can do same thing, but also have to go over the hurdles of actually what the other sex does. That's all works perfectly. Here it's done for laughs. It's horrible. Toilet humor as well. Ugh. I mean, my sister, blame my sister for this. She watched it over and over again. I don't know. I think when we got FreeSat and stuff like that, it's like, she recorded and we played it over again. It's freaking annoying, and it just really ingrained into my mind. You think, it's worth putting on that. It is absolute worth putting on that. It's just, it's horrible, really bad. Nothing to say about that. I mean, again, reviews. People have done it before. It's just my opinion. It's a terrible movie. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But we have to go to the top 5 now. So number 6 is done. Top 5, right. Oh, we are going into some serious shit here. At number 5, Hellraiser Inferno 2 Judgment. Now, this is where sequels get really, really bad and horrible. Franchises in particular, horror franchises have really bad sequels. Horrible. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, Elm Street has a few good, interesting sequels, of course. I mean, the people will probably gravitate to the first one, the third one, and number 7, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. That's good. People will probably gravitate to for Friday the 13th. I don't know. I don't really know actually. Maybe the first one, and the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one. Yes, I think the fourth, and I mean, from there it's just pretty weird afterwards, and bizarreness, telekinesis. You know, Jason steals. People steal Jason's house and eat it, and he possesses other people. What the hell? But we're talking about Hellraiser Inferno. Now, Hellraiser particularly is a film that I know from childhood. I've reviewed the first one back in Series 6, even though it's not the best review. I did my Chuck Dahl impression. Who knows what kind of films I'm still subscribed to the man anyway. And but he's good, from Jacksonville, Florida. I would say, now let's run through the sequels as well. Never actually run through them anyway. So I've done the first one, Hellraiser, standout classic, brilliant. Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, or Hellbound Hellraiser 2, wherever you put it. Another great sequel, really good. It carries on from the first one. You know, Clive Barker's still working on it, and Tony Randall, who actually did directing duties on that, has actually really done really good. You know, you still have Claire Higgins in it as well. Ashley Lawrence is back on it. You know, and it's still, you know, it's very still British, even though it's still confusing if it's still in the States or still in Britain. I don't know, but it's still a fantastic good one. You know, it's fantastic. And then you got Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, which is in 92. So Hellraiser 87, Hellbound 88, Hell on Earth 92, and directed by Anthony Hickox, another British director who did the Waxworks movies. I mean, Waxworks is actually a pretty interesting movie. It is, and it's set in New York. We have an interesting cast, of course. You know, Terry Farrell, decent idea for a decent lead for as Joey as a TV reporter. You have an interesting side of Doug Bradley. I mean, he played Elliot Spencer, of course, in the film. You really get to know about his past and actually trying reason with the Cenobite Pinhead, of course, and trying actually of merging together. That's actually pretty interesting. Some of the scenes, like towards the end, the climax. I mean, that climax is weird. Like Joey, as you know, actually sees a father in a field very much, and comes to her, and then afterwards Pinhead reveals himself and actually takes, you know, the disguise wears off. It's pretty weird actually seeing him in broad daylight in some sunny field. It's pretty weird. And afterwards you come to the sort of bunker, and then everything gets meshed together. You know, Elliot Spencer and Pinhead sort of become one. And for some reason Pinhead turns into like a balloon when he gets stabbed with the laminate configuration. Okay, and he sort of, no one knows. And apparently at the end of the movie, of the third one, apparently there's some new building in New York that's based on laminate configuration, all different sizes and everything else. It's like, I've actually got it here, actually. A fake one. This. All different sides. You know, a bit like, I don't know, it's like a new bank or anything like that. I don't know. Or sort of, I don't know, it's like an architecture design, really. And then we come to the fourth one, which is the last one released back in, like, so Bloodline came out in 96, and that was actually the last film to be released theatrically in cinemas. It was meant to be directed by Kevin Yeager, special effects extraordinaire, Kevin Yeager. And then I think afterwards Josh Bell just came over and did a little reshoots and everything else. It's been confused, of course, and you know, it's basically jumping from different points of history. You know, from the creation of the laminate configuration of the toy maker to Georgian era, to the Georgian era, to present day in the 90s, to some space age sci-fi, very much in the very far future on a space station. It's like, where's this going? I mean, because there's a few people actually contributed. I mean, 2 directors have actually, you know, worked on it as well. It's pretty bizarre. Design-wise, it's pretty interesting. I mean, the cast not so much really, but I don't cast it as a bad movie. And that was basically the last time until we hit the year 2000, and then we got Hellraiser Inferno. This is where we come. This is one, right? we are going into very bad territory. This is dark territory, shit territory. Let's do this. How is Inferno? The first of a slew of direct-to-video DVDs. Oh boy. One thing to mention about this, actually, this is a pretty interesting fact. The first 8 from Inferno, Hellseeker, Deader, and Hellworld are actually other movie scripts. Very much, they were completely different movies entirely, and then they basically just used them and incorporated Hellraiser elements, and they basically shoehorned all of them in. That's actually a fact that actually I found out maybe a few years ago, and it's just like, really, I know Deader and Hellworld were done back to back, they were, but they are not really particularly good. I mean, you have Inferno, which I remember getting on VHS from a copy of my mum bought, like this old rental tape, a very botched up rental tape. I've actually done a video of that before on the update, on like a VHS collection I did, the VHS Bummer videos I did. And you do have interesting actors that don't really support the movie. I mean, Craig Sheffer is the main lead. Is questionable. Then you have James Remar as well in the movie, and it's just like, just doesn't go anywhere. Pinhead's not in there as much, even though he's splattered along with the Wire Twins, of course, and Torso is basically apparently like a relative or a descendant of the Chatterer Cenobite, and it's really, I mean, it's the conclusion, the ending's a bit sort of weird as well, you know, and it doesn't go anywhere. Then we go to Hellseeker, which we focus on, where apparently Ashley Lawrence is back, because Kirsty, even though she actually dies in a car incident, and he mainly focuses on her husband Trevor, who's having weird visions and everything else. It's just, and it goes on and on. It's like, oh, I'm getting sick and tired of this stuff. Now, you know, Pinhead briefly appears. There's some weird surgery on Trevor's brain as well. It's weird, like they actually stuff pins in his brain. Like, you know, this one thing to credit most of these direct-to-video movies, I mean, they're bad, but the Cenobite designs are really good, actually, because you get introduced, you know, to the Wire Twins and Torso in Inferno. In Hellseeker, you get Stitch, which is basically like a woman, basically with, again, it was actually apparently from, was it like the Edwardian era? You have the surgeon who's basically filled with like some weird mechanisms on his eyes and stuff like that. Who else? Oh God, who else am I going to think of? Oh God, bollocks. I actually don't know who else is in the 6th one. I just don't know, really. Deader, you have Stitch as well. You got Bound as well. Apparently there's 2 different versions. Of course, there's a female version in Deader and there's a male version in Hellworld, that's it. Basically with duct tape bandages, of course. Little sister is in, like, you know, it's got like weird sewing pins for eyelashes or something like that. Apparently there's another one called Spike, which has a big massive drill stuck through his head. And you think, weird. I don't know where that's going to go. That's going to go. Who else is in it? I really don't know. I really don't know. I forgot now. And then Hellworld is just Bound. This is the male version of Bound 2, and apparently a third chapter as well. It's a bit weird. Let's move back. So we'll go back to Hellseeker. Not the best. Really not good. I mean, you have the return of Ashley Lawrence, and even though she doesn't do much, of course, you know, like they kill her off, and you think, what's the point? Then we focus on Trevor, on her own Trevor, and it's just nah. Deader, if you had to rank them, I would say Deader's is slightly more interesting out of the bunch, but again, it doesn't really go anywhere. There's some interesting little moments. Like she's trying to, like, the reporter, the main antagonist. I forgot the name of the character or the actress because I don't really care. I mean, you know, she's trying to pull a knife out of her back. Like, for some reason she was sleeping and had a knife in her back, of course, and then, you know, tries to, all this weird stuff. It's in Romania as well. I mean, a lot of these direct-to-video DVDs are set in different countries, like Ukraine, Bulgaria, Romania, all that sort of stuff. And it doesn't really go anywhere, of course. I mean, apparently you have like a cult that's trying to, trying to perform stuff similar to what the Cenobites are doing, or something like that. And apparently it's meant to be a Descent of the Time Maker. It doesn't work anywhere. And then we come to Hellworld, number 8. This is the last one to feature Doug Bradley. I mean, Doug Bradley has played Pinhead since '87, the very first one, the first Hellraiser movie. This is his last performance. You have there's 2 interesting noble actors in this one. Lance Henriksen, of course, is sort of the main villain of the film, of course, and surprisingly, Henry Cavill. Yes, that Henry Cavill from Mission Impossible. And also the Superman movies as well. Yes, he's in it. That's like one of his bit of an early role for him. Apparently involves around something called Hellworld. Very similar to maybe, I would say, what's that game? Was it Oricum, the Nomad Soul, or something like that? That came out in 2000? 1999, 2000? Something simple, a bit like that, really. Then afterwards, they enter a party. This weird white mask going on, like they have to cover their faces with white masks. It's a bit like Eyes Wide Open, but a bit more shitter. And weird stuff is going on. Someone dies of asthma. It's just like, also for some weird reason, Pinhead uses a meat cleaver to try and decapitate someone's head. And then I think the most notable thing, of course, is Lance Henriksen's death. He's in a motel. He's fleeing because he murdered a lot of teenagers, for this party that he's responsible for. And obviously Pinhead and his Cenobites show up and just kill him. And that's really a defining moment, like he says, "Welcome to hell." And that's really about it, really, with Doug Bradley's performance in Hellworld. Very much. I mean, it's wasted potential. I mean, like I mentioned before, these are originally different scripts without even mentioning or including Hellraiser at all. It's just, no, I just don't really know where to go to start. And then we come to the recent ones that came out: Revelations and Judgment. Revelations, it's got a bit of a found footage element, which I absolutely hate. I forgot to mention I should really include found footage movies, but I felt, that was the original intention, really, because I absolute hate found footage horror movies. I really do. I mean, and a lot of stuff involving exorcisms and possessions, that's done to death. That's really milk dry. It's milk bloody dry. Fucking dry. And it's just, really. And we have elements of that in Revelations, and apparently 2 brothers are on a road trip and stuff like that, and they do some stuff. They return. Pinhead gets a apprentice similar to him, also a female tattooist as well, and that's really about it. I watched it and thought, no, it's not good. I mean, the guy who plays him, chubby as hell. He's a bit of a chubby fella, like he eats too much burgers. I mean, Chuck Downer actually mentioned that. Like, he has a keen for burgers, I think. And then we've got to Judgment. The recent one that came out last year or 2 years, of 2017, I think it came out. 10th one, focus on 2 detectives. Evan Lankenkamp from the Elm Street series appears in it as well. You have someone like a blind, like, I don't know, like a scarred blind guy he's like a secretarian expert typewriter. I don't really know, actually. Pinhead, different design than what he was used to. Apparently he's got like a weird diamond thing, of course. I didn't really care about that at all. I mean, there's some weird lazy designs. I mean, first and foremost, this gas mask gimp, a full body leather gimp with a gas mask as a Cenobite. That's fucking lazy, that is. It's really fucking lazy. Just don't. I can't really say anything about it anymore, actually. I don't know if they're going to do another 11th one. I mean, who's the guy? Gary Tunnicliffe, I think. Tooncliffe, I think. He's sort of steering the bits now. Even though I think Dimension Films really let that thing go and really just let it let it still willow without being in a grave. That's really about it, really, with the Hellraiser films. I would say the first two are brilliant, fantastic. 3's interesting. 4, it depends. 5 to 10, leave it alone. You can do a time capsule, bury them in the ground, never see them again until some random person digs them up with a very advanced metal detector and watches in this horrible, shitty films that he discovered is buried and decides to bury them back. I don't know. It's a weird scenario. God. So that's number 5. Number 4, bit of an interesting one. I guess this is another one from childhood. 8-Legged Freaks. Now, I'm not for one for giant spider movies at all. I just can't. This is the main movie that really put my favorite spiders. I hate tarantulas. I fucking hate tarantulas. House spiders are okay. I mean, I'm used to them. I mean, they could be all around the houses, crawl along my walls, and you know, I'm totally fine with that. They crawl across the floor. Even, you know, if you're just sitting around doing something, listening to music, watching TV, they crawl all over the place and they've done bad you. But tarantulas I really freaking hate. I mean, what this film was meant to be, sort of be, was meant to be like a homage to the original, was it for the 1950s, that film Tarantula. You have an early performance of Scarlett Johansson, you have David Arquette in this movie. I mean, it's basically like, it's also done by, it's produced by it's Roman Emmerich who actually produced it as well. Is it? Or is it Roman Emmerich who actually produced, I keep thinking it's Dean Devlin, but it's not. It's Roman bloody Emmerich. Yeah, so it's basically an invasion. So you can tell it's similar to Independence Day in many places. Very much, even though it's still in a desert town. It has that sort of Tremors thing as well. You know, send a man in town. There's insects. There's a monster. It's eating the locals. It's toxic waste. It's a massive queen. I mean, I don't know. God. To be honest, this is interesting. I think this is the only film that I've reviewed that I never actually bothered to watch because I can't bring myself to watch the film. I really can't. So that's an interesting term. But I do know a little bit of history about it as well. Maybe because my dad used to freak me out with it and actually trying to ram the whole cover in my face. When I was very young, I still never forgave him for that. He probably won't remember it, but I still remember it. It's probably in the attic somewhere. I'll probably keep it down my vid just to remind me what horrible garbage it could be. You know, it's the bane. It's one of those banes in my life. That fucking film. Shame it's not number 1. There is one film that is actually just dire, and I've seen it. It's just right, but we need to get there. So that's number 4. 8-Legged Freaks is number 4. Brief, but an obvious choice to put on there for me, for strong personal reasons. It's on there. Number 3, Highlander 2: The Quickening. This is another film that is regarded as one of the worst movies of all time. To clarify, I've never seen the special edition version. I've only seen the original 91 version. So we're going to stick with that one because I had the original one on DVD. And I watched it because I was curious, because I thought the first one was brilliant. That was actually quite good. I watched the sequel. People were right. It is awful. Where do we go with this one? First things first, they come from another planet. The Immortals come from what do you call it? Forgotten the name. It's a bad movie, and I just really said them a movie. But they come from like a weird desert planet, of course, of Immortals. They get sent there because they get banished or exiled, like MacLeod and I forgot what Connery played. Shit, I forgot what he's Medeiros, I think it's Riveras. I think it's Riveras actually. Yeah, so they get exiled, of course, and they basically have to live their lives as immortals. I think it's basically it's horrible retconning that film. You know, and the idea of like this with the whole thing of the ozone layer and stuff like that. You know, it's like really. you know, where's this film going? And after many years, of course, people are trying to sabotage or something like that. This thing, of course, and you've got Virginia Madsen as well. You have also, for some reason, Conor McCall gets younger. Apparently, when he gets exhausted, I mean, being in the motor, he's slowly getting grey and dies out. But yes, it's just really. I mean, the whole thing with Connery and Lambert, it's a bit pointless, really. I mean, it's pointless to put Connery back in it. Resurrect him, doing a performance of Shakespeare. It's like, do we really need that? Michael Ironside as a villain, too over the top. That general guy, I forgot the name, but it's just not good. I mean, the bloody thing that bothers me about the movie is its editing and how it's paced. It's awful. It runs for about 86 minutes. It's just horrible. The ending is shit. There's a weird fairy tale ending, like with Sean Connery, doing this like a weird little tiny little monologue at the end, and obviously with Madsen and Lambert. So it's like some weird fairy tale botched Disney ending, and it's just like he just stares. He goes to a scene of Lambert's face, like it just pauses like that, and it's like, wait a minute, it's Virginia Madsen and Lambert go to stars or something like that. It's just like that ending is just weird. It ends bizarrely. And the face off between them two is just like, not good. I mean, the extended edition sort of does it better, to extend some interest and seem to make it a bit more interesting. But with the original theatrical version that I've seen, it's just horrible. I mean, I paid £3 for that movie from Sex, and it's just like, oh boy, it's just awful. I mean, people have reviewed it before. Oliver Harper, you sort of talking about, you give me interest to watch it, and oh god. So that's number 3. I have nothing to say about that anymore. It's just one thing to mention: Stuart Copeland's score. I mean, compared to Michael Kamen and J. Peter Robertson, who did the third one, it's not the best. Sadly, not the best. I mean, he did Rumblefish. That might be good. He's composed operas and stuff like that. That's one of his main sort of things now these days. But with Highland to the Quickening, not the best. I mean, he's a bloody emulator. He did. So, number 2. Now, this is going to shock people. This second one is going to shock people because people think it's a love movie. It's an absolute. People think it's like a now classic. I don't. I think it's done. It's there's a couple of factors with it, and it's just like, no, I absolutely hate this, and it's done something that's really, that's really driven me off course with this one. So at number 2, Frozen. I hate this. I mean, it's gonna be so, like, oh, I opened with I see the title and said, I hate this. I fucking hate this. I wish it could go and die in the fire or never existed, or be banned in the UK and stuff like that. It's just like, okay. But with Frozen, right, when he first announced, or when it was in production and everything else and like that, I was pretty interested. I mean, I've seen quite a good few Disney movies at the time prior to Frozen. This is 2013 this came out. Or 2012, I think it was like, the very final months of 2012, I think. And it was interesting, actually. I mean, the teasers with Olaf, with the snowman Olaf, and all those things, like, what's this film going to be about? And you kind of sort of guess. I mean, what it is, it's basically a Disney version of the Snow Queen, which I remember doing some plays, at the time. The only thing we ever did was dance around like little robbers, wearing like sort of like, hats. I mean, I think, what can I remember? I think we used to wear like, not bean hats, we used to wear like cardboard rings around our heads. Or no, I think it was like little masks made of cardboard. They used to stab you in the face now and again. Ugh. Good times it were. Good times. Good times of being a little actor now and again. For school pantomimes and stuff like that. But with the Snow Queen, The idea of Disney doing the Snow Queen, they should have done it better. It's awful. One thing is the music. One thing I really did, when I first watched it, I thought something's not right with it. Something's really not right with it. You know, and the musical numbers are really bad. I don't know. I find them grating sometimes. You know, and you have the song "Let It Go." One of the worst songs I've ever listened to. I mean, I've listened to worse. There's worse as well. But Let It Go, it's awful. I hate it. The vocal delivery. What was it? What do you call it? Is it Isla Fisher? That is awful. You should, you know, it's a mainstay for younger kids, of course, and kids love the song, you know, and still remember the words and dance to it. But it's really horrible. Really bad. Really bad. Awful. I can't stand it. The merchandise really went in full swing. And everything else, it has to be Frozen related. Include Frozen and stuff like that. And put a picture of all of them there. It's just like, no. What the fuck are you doing? It's like, God. Oh boy. It is just bad. I absolutely hate it. And it did. This is going to shock people, but it did kill my love for Disney movies. I have to admit. I mean, one of the recent movies I might probably watched was Zootropolis or Zootopia, and that's brilliant. That's all come back. But everything else from there, I don't find interesting. I think what it's done is basically, it sort of tries to replicate what it's done back with the animated classics, of course. You know, like try and make it a bit more interesting, a bit more. You know, you take a little classic tale, and you try something a little bit different with it. However, the results are not good. The results, you know, it's too mainstream, it's too popular. I do think people were sort of, I think when the, that sequel thing, I mean, they're doing a sequel there, but when the short film came out, I think people were just like, you know, but I don't think, are people ready for a second Frozen? I certainly am not. You know, that can go and down a fire. I know, people will probably be mad. Comments will be going mad, you know, think Frozen's a great movie, and you think, and people might be a bit, you know, this is what I mentioned before, people will agree or disagree on some of the films I picked. I mean, Frozen is highly regarded as a classic, one of the best Disney movies ever. In my opinion, not. I've seen better than that. I mean, it's below. It's below than other classics. I mean, there are some duds, I do have to admit, but some of the duds are actually good. They're not bad. This one is probably the worst. Extremely the worst. Maybe because of its mainstream popularity. Maybe because of its look, its design, and, you know, it's adapted to culture horrifically bad, you know, too much, if you know what I mean. You know, it's basically Disney's flagship thing, you know, it's the new thing. And you have to include it everywhere. It has to be absolutely everywhere, even there on mugs and everything else. It's just, you know, kill me now. Please kill me now. Oh boy. Jeez. Alright, so that's me for that's number 2, so that's Frozen. Oh boy. Comments can be raised. I don't think so. There might be a few comments that you think, you know, that might be with you. I'm quite mixed with the movie, but I love them. I love the movie. You know, it's the best movie ever. It's like that's probably like a little 10-year-old kid doing that and actually spamming people, trolling people, you know, and that sort of thing. But that's only number 2. Number 1. Some people probably might be surprised that I put this higher, but I have history with this thing. So, oh boy, right. Where are we going to go with this? So, number 1 of the 13 worst movies, in my opinion, is... I can't do a drum roll, I can do a click of the fingers. Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Oh... This is going to be fun. This is going to be... I'm going to rant about this movie. This is going to take a big bulk of the video. I mean, judging by the time of now, I've done a lot of ranting before, and actually being red in the face slightly, I mean, I mean, today hasn't been a good day, but I'm letting my anger out on these movies, especially this movie. Especially this movie, because I have history with this movie. I have fucking history with this movie. It is just... Now, this is the second time I'm going to talk about Thomas Townshend on this channel. I mean, the first one I did was Path of Nostalgia, and this is where I didn't mention this in the video, the Path of Nostalgia video. And there's a good reason why, because I absolutely think this is the worst movie, in my opinion. I mean, this is from childhood. This is from 2000, and I was 3 years old when this came out. I never saw it in cinemas. I got it on VHS. My parents got me. Don't know where, but they got it for me. And when I first watched it, I thought, that's decent. It's interesting, decent enough. But I felt something was wrong with it. You know, there was something not right with it, of course. Then after re-watching many times, as a film, yes, as a film, you might watch it over again. Rewind the tape and play it over again. I did see problems with it, and it sort of stuck with me, and I think, you know, and it became slowly, and and it's like, oh, right. So where can we go with this? Where can we start with this? So, I think we should really talk about what the film was originally meant to be. So, obviously, Britt Allcroft, who was one of the producers of Thomas Townshend and Friends, along with David Mitton and Robert D. Cardona. Well, it's just Mitton Allcroft by then. She had the ideas of like doing a movie of the show back in the mid-90s, about 94, let's say between 94 to 96, really, or I don't know, really, it just depends. And it had been developed for a while, and when you come to something like Series 5, that was basically like a show of what David Mitton can do, and it was basically, I would say maybe thinking, it's basically I describe Series 5 as a sort of experimental movie thing, oddity, very much. Like, it was trying to be more cinematic and stuff like that. Like, it's like a stepping stone of what a Thomas feature film can do. And believe it or not, Series 5 was a brilliant season. Fantastic, really good season. You know, really good direction, good stories. It's superb in many ways possible. It's a weird series as well. I might have to do something about that. I'll actually do a video about that at some point, you know. I think when I do something, you know, something like a review about that. When you come, and that was the main idea with Britt Allcroft. She was determined to make it more cinematic and actually try and think, you know, this could work, you know, make a Thomas Townshend and Friends feature film for the big screen. And I think her idea was to direct it instead of David Mitton. I think that was like a little misstep, really, because David Mitton is actually a bit of an interesting director. I mean, if you look at what he actually did on the show, it is brilliant. You know, all the mold works and everything else is brilliant. I don't think he's ever directed like full live action or something like that, you know, with actual actors. I don't know. But Britt Allcroft went on, written, produced and directed the movie, shot on the Isle of Man, and it has an interesting cast, a bit of a bizarre, interesting cast, of course. I mean, the original idea was to feature both the TV series Thomas Townshend and Friends, but also the spin-off Shine Time Station, which is actually how Thomas Townshend and Friends became popular in the United States. And it was meant to coalesce them together for some bizarre reason. There was meant to be some original voice actors as well. For many of the engines, really, to be honest. I mean, some of the cast really stayed the same. But for the original voice actors of the cast, I mean, they were meant to have Liverpoolian accents, very much, and, you know, Scouser accents, very, very British accent, you know, extremely British. It was meant to be extremely British. I mean, that was Britt Allcroft's original intention. There's a behind-the-scenes photo of the original voice actors who are meant to be in the film, because you have the voice of Thomas was meant to be a guy called John Bellis, who basically was basically a part-time fireman and taxi driver who actually he lived on the Isle of Man, but he had a bit of a false Scouser accent. He did, and Britt Allcroft chose him as the role. Michael Angelis, who's the narrator back from 91 from Series 3 onwards, he was meant to be the voice of Percy and James. That was meant to be like a link for the British version of the TV show, which I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, he does do James right in the narrations. I think in the early seasons he sort of gets that sort of sarcastic, mournful, I don't know what you call it, but like the energy that he brings to it, really, for the character of James in the narration. And I think Big Old Coverman for the same, really. And yeah. And then we got Keith Scott. He was meant to play the voice of Diesel 10. Keith Scott, I think, roughly at the same time, actually, was in the Rocky Bullwinkle movie, which I think I mentioned before, actually. He was the voice of Bullwinkle, believe it or not, actually. And what the original idea was to have with Diesel 10, I mean, his characterization or voice acting thing goes all over the place with the production. Like, the original idea was to have him as a gruff Aussie accent. So for the Junket guys, bit of an issue with footage, and sadly, some of it couldn't be salvaged, actually, unfortunately. So after we recorded this many weeks after the actual filming shoot actually done, like the shooting day, it did. So, in fairness, Thomas and the Magic Railroad is one of the worst movies, of course. I briefly mentioned the voice work, of course. You know, the editing's over the place, I've mentioned before, and you know, the character-wise, it's like three different actors in, you know, different acting style, because you have serious acting, which is Pierre Fonda, crazy, over-the-top acting, Nicolas Cage type style acting, which is Alec Baldwin, and you have like middle-of-the-road, directionless type acting, which is Mara Wilson, of course, and you have crazy sort of semi-buffoonic, you know, angsty type stuff with Michael E. Rogers, as well as a junior. You know, it's pretty half-assed in places, you know. Maybe not half-assed. I mean, it had good intentions, but the execution of it just really lets it down. Really lets it down. Of course, I mean, again, it shifts from one tone to another differently. You know, like you have like it's trying to be it's trying to be two films in one. Doesn't work that way. I mean, the original idea, when he resurfaced actually what he was originally meant to be, actually looked pretty interesting. Looked really good. Different ideas, return old characters, well, maybe a few actually, provided a different take on the story. And it was actually really pretty fascinating actually, and all this behind the scenes stuff and everything else, and you know, the whole thing of this GoFunder, was it? What do you call it? Restore the Magic. That's it. Trying to actually get this director's cut out, which is owned by Sony, which apparently is Destination Films was actually a subsidiary for Sony Pictures, Sony Films. So I don't know if that'll get released or not. I don't know. It's Sony, so they still have the keys to that. So it's, you know, it's pretty. I mean, it's still. I don't know if they're actually going to do something with for next year. Actually, maybe. I don't know. Or like a 20th. What do you call it? Yeah, like a 20th anniversary type thing. I don't know. There might be light-hearted and actually think, you know, we could release this now. We could release the standard one that everyone hates and bats to death, or we can release this, and we can release this director's cut. I mean, some films have done that before actually. If you release on Blu-ray, you can have the option of doing like you can have the original theatrical release, or like a director's cut or producer's cut. So there might be potential in there. Who knows? But would that director's cut be beneficial? Would it be more better than the original? Who knows? It might be a little bit better. Who knows? It just depends how it goes. If it retains the old voice actors, what originally is salvaged from that original director's cut, who knows? And if it's restored, if they actually try and restore the thing, you know, make it a bit more interesting, maybe add a new soundtrack, new composer to it, or ask Happy Man to come back on it, I don't know. It depends. It really depends with that thing. But for now, this film ranks the top. Maybe because from childhood, because I grew up with the original TV show, and it's basically like a bludgeoning. It's a dampened squib on something on your childhood. You know, it's like being hit on the head with a hammer, and you can cuss for about 90 minutes. I don't know, but it's one that I just don't like at all, really, and it's just too over the place. You know, it's too Americanized, too much American Canadian actors really trying to. I think I mentioned this before, but half the time try and replicate a British accent. Sometimes they don't bother at all, and they still keep to the standard American accents. And it's like, no, it's not the way forward. Actually, I'm surprised it was a flop, it was. I mean, even though people, especially Roger Ebert and Richard Roper, complained that the mouse don't move. I mentioned this before in the video, of course, but I prefer that, like how it was originally to the TV show. I do like that, actually. I think that's neat, of course. You know, and everyone keeps bashing on like it's, you know, they should have splashed some cash and that made it like CGI. Probably, well, if they did, I don't know. They'll probably make it more freaky. You know, there's some freaky children's TV, most TV shows, but also films as well prior to this, and you can think, you know, they can be quite over the top and very bizarre in many ways. But I think with this, you know, it's kept to standard form of what the TV series was meant to be. I like that. And the score's okay as well. It does its job now and again. But everything else just falls flat in its face. You know, it doesn't really hold a candle whatsoever. So sadly, this takes the #1 spot, unfortunately. You know, for people who probably think, you know, it may be not worth putting on a list. For me, it is, because it's been there for childhood. It's been a film that I've known for many years, and it's worth pointing out. It's a quite a good thing I didn't point out in the Path Nostalgia video of Thomas Nostalgia and Friends, maybe because I'll probably rant on that movie for hours, and I couldn't do it because, you know, tying them at 15 minutes. Now I can with this, so yes. I have nothing else to say. Done and dusted. So, that is the 13 worst movies, in my opinion. And it's been a journey. It's been a hard journey, actually, because I've been trying to compile what movies I really dislike. I know this one, the top spot, is an obvious choice, extremely obvious choice. But everything else has been unsure, like, what should I put? Anything else I can put? And there could be many other films on there as well, but these ones I sit down and probably think, do I really need to put them on? I think well, A Leg of Freaks is quite an obvious one. I've known from childhood, but I've never seen the film because it basically freaked the terror from living shit out of me. But it's just there for a reason, unfortunately. So that is the video. That is my 13 worst movies of all time. Oh, it's been a long journey. Well, it's been a big journey, actually, you know, trying to recall, you know, for now, actually. Doing the original stuff first, you know, the actual video itself, then actually had to come back and record it after, I don't know how many weeks I've done it for, but I've done that, but it's taken a bit to actually fully form this together. Thank you for watching. Stick around for other content, but also we are doing the 13 best movies, in my opinion, which is coming out, I don't know when, later this year, who knows. But we'll get there eventually. But for now, you stuck with this for now. Oh yes. Comment down below if you disagree with all these things. Some people maybe disagree, but also make a list of your worst movies of all time, the films that you absolutely hate, that you personally to you very much. You can either do 10, you can do just top 5 or 13, or maybe do 20. You know, think of a list of your worst movies of all time. And you think, you know, and you might have some interesting choices as well, like very obscure choices as well. And you think, I've never seen that film before. Or maybe you think, yeah, you're quite right, that film, I've seen it once and I think I didn't really like that at all. So comment down below, share your opinions on the films I've chosen for my top 13 worst, but also yours as well. So it's nice to see the bit of a community actually discussing what it is. Or you hate to, really. So that's it. Thanks for watching. And as always, see you for the next video. And goodbye.